What up, Jay?
What up, my guy? What it do? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, you mute it. Because I can't hear you.
Nah, I can't hear you at all, man. You might have to hop out and then hop back in.
I hear you now. Can you hear me?
What's up, though? What up, though?
What about now? Hello?
Yeah, I still can't hear you now. I don't know if it's me or what. Can y'all hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you and
I wonder if
him.
it's me.
Ty.
Hold on, it might be me. Hold on.
Yeah, it is you. Yeah, it's you.
I think it's me. 1 second. It was me the whole time. I had the whole sound off. My bad. My bad.
Boy, you professionals.
Oh my God. Be quiet. Give me a break. Nah, I saw the little yellow things going off, and I'm like, okay, it's working. And I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, the whole damn volume in my headphones was off. How y'all doing though?
It's been a day.
Yeah.
I have two properties that I just finished visiting. Both got squatters in them. Both patched up these condemned homes and ran a line from the electrical line into the house. One of them got direct TV too, and put new house numbers on the house.
They changed the house numbers?
No, they didn't change. They went and bought some new house numbers and put on the house.
Oh, so it's their house?
No, I don't know where you live, but what they did was, because it takes, depending on what they do, it takes 3 to 10 years for them to get it. That one probate property I've been dealing with for like a year. That one, it kept getting notices for dangerous of neighborhood. So basically, they want to condemn the house, and we're trying to deal with the probate thing, so they can't condemn it because we want to take the house and make it into a duplex. So we're really like been going through this forever. So all they did was stop the city from putting liens against the seller. So they're not hurting us, and it'll be good. I mean, it takes 3 to 10 years for them to get squatter ownership. So I'm not worried about that. But I was pissed off at first.
So how would you get them out?
It's victim.
Just evict them?
Just evict them, but I mean that's one way to do it. That'd be a legal court way to do it. Yeah.
See, I ain't about.
I'm not doing that.
I like to pay money. I'm a cash for keys.
I'm not paying them nothing, but they will get out. So I just said the legal way it can be done.
Yeah.
That's not what's going to be done. I just said the legal way.
Yeah.
You're a cash for keys person, and depending on certain things, I will be, but not when it comes to this.
Yeah.
I'm not giving you no money to get out of a house that's been condemned
I need
for
you
20
to get
years.
out quickly.
It'll be the same night whenever it's ready.
You're right. It ain't going nowhere.
It's not going nowhere, and that's fine. You just keep me from having any more issues where I keep on going back to the city because they keep putting these liens and begging them not to condemn the house. All you did was keep it safe for me. But I when I pulled up, let me tell you how crazy it is. This house used to have about a 30, 40-foot tree in the backyard that fell over into the house, into the back of the house. The whole house was covered like a forest. The floors are literally, you can walk in the house and look at the ground through the floors, walls. It was horrible.
Trap house.
He didn't. No, it's worse than trap house. But it's in a perfect location. It's a perfect location. It's old school hood, but it's been overly gentrified over there. So the problem at first, I was like, I'm driving. I was like, I'm gonna drive by and make sure everything's okay. No, I saw like the front porch light on. I was like, what? Where did electricity come from?
That's
I looked
crazy.
again. I was like, oh, they got the city and brought them trash cans. They got electrical wire coming to the house. I look on the side. They got a DirecTV satellite dish on the side now, and got a dog in the house too.
They living good and free.
Yeah. They can live good and free. It's still not my house, but once it is, they better pray to God they get out of there when I tell them to.
Mm.
Or I'm gonna, legally, we do an eviction, but they'll be out within 24 hours.
All right. Well, tell me more when that happens in the next
I will, believe
3
me.
years.
No, hopefully, I finally got a lawyer in California to deal with the end of the probate stuff coming out of California people.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy because it's in Houston, but we got a minor. We got 29 heirs. We got one left that has to sign off, and she's a minor. So we have to get a lawyer to be guardianship over that minor. And trying to find a lawyer in California has been hell. So I think we just found one.
That's good. That's good. See, I haven't dealt with that yet, with all the heirs and all that stuff yet. The most I've had to deal with is probably like 3.
I will say this. One of my first 3 wholesales was an airship. Jesus Christ. I would tell you, I learned the hard stuff first. But this right here, we got 3 different airship forms have to be signed. We had to pay different lawyers in different places and all kind of different stuff. But the profit we're making off of it is substantial, very substantial.
Yeah, that's usually how those work.
Well, to the point where I may not even sell it. That's where it's to the point of now.
Mm-hmm.
I may keep it.
Yeah,
so
might as well if it's a great deal. Why not?
Oh yeah, really good. But yeah, sorry, taking up time.
No, you're good. No, but what's up, everybody? Welcome. New people jumped on. Typically, I do these comp sessions once a month. I try to do them once a month, just so we can stay sharp on our comping, because comping is very important. Finding out. Oh, let me record this. Hold on. I'm gonna go ahead and record. It is recording. Yeah, so this is being recorded. So if you have to hop off early, or if you want to look back at it, you can. I upload all of these calls to the drive. So every Zoom call that we have is going to be uploaded to the drive. So make sure that you guys are checking the drive periodically. If you have any questions about anything, make sure you go through the drive first, because there's a lot of valuable information in the drive that you will probably more than likely get your questions answered. And then also look through these videos. I know there's a lot of videos and things like that. I'd rather provide more videos than not enough. So every call, there's always some gem that you can probably get from the call. So just go through the videos. I try to title the videos as best as I can so you can have an idea what those videos are about. So make sure you go through the drive, look through the monthly call video section, and get immersed into those videos and into the content there to help you guys out. But like I was saying, I do these calls probably once a month. I try to have them once a month so we can stay sharp on our skills. The objective of this call is pretty much, to get better, right? To stay consistent. If you guys have any properties that you're struggling with to find an ARV on, because that's what this call is all about, is really just finding the ARV, right? The value of these properties. So if you have any properties that you are having difficulty doing that with, you can just comment them in the chat box, and then we'll look them up on PropStream and Zillow, and just talk about the process of, at least my process, and everybody in here, who's has some experience in here as well, can always chime in. But the process of finding those comparables and finding that value of those houses, because whenever you're making offers, whenever you're talking to sellers, you need to understand what the value of the property is, right? You need to understand what it can possibly sell for. And if you don't see anything of what it can sell for when it's fixed up and whatever the case may be. If an ARV per se, fixed up, renovated, then you're doing it based off of that as is value, that current value. There's a market here in Georgia that I work in, Warner Robins. There's not a lot of rehabs in that area, so you're not going to see after repair value. You're going to see a lot of as is fair condition houses selling. So that's what we have to utilize in that market to determine what the ARV is. So whenever you're looking at ARV, it's not always about, whenever you're looking at comps, it's not always about what the house is fixed up completely, because some markets don't have that much activity going on when it comes to that. So it just need to be able to identify what the property condition is, what it can sell for, things like that. And that's what this is all about, essentially. And before we jump into it, quick little updates about the Discord. I love the activity in the Discord. Love it. Love everybody being consistent with activity, asking questions, giving game, being knowledgeable. I love that. It keeps it going, keeps me inspired, keeps me, thinking about more things to do, to provide, more things to provide you guys to be successful, to provide you guys with more tools, things along those lines. So keep the activity up. If you have questions, ask them. That's what it's for. Also working on a challenge for next month, so be on the lookout for that. Jermaine and I are putting together some things. It's going to be more so on a task-based type level. So every day you're going to have pretty much these tasks to help you create healthy habits to close deals consistently. And all those tasks are going to be contributing to your success in closing deals. So whether it's, calling buyers one day, or talking to realtors another day, or going on this website, or doing this, or whatever the case may be, there's going to be a number of tasks for each day for the challenge that contribute to you hopefully closing a deal. Not going to guarantee you closing a deal by doing that, but I'm going to guarantee that you're going to build some of these helpful habits that'll help you close deals, whether it's, that month or down the line. And a lot of these tasks is things that I do on a weekly basis. Some of it I don't do every week, but it's going to be very structured and it's going to help you out. But more details are going to come on now. I'm actually going to do a Zoom call for that only specifically. So be on the lookout for that probably next week around this time. But anyway, let's get into it. I don't want to take up too much time today because we do have another call next week. Not next week, on the 7th. I'm sorry. Our monthly call is on the 7th. We're going to be talking about VAs, virtual assistants, everything virtual assistants that I know, that I've learned, things along those lines. So, if you're looking to get VAs, you have VAs. When we're talking about training VAs, hiring VAs, tracking VAs performance, all these different things, right? Where to find VAs, things to look for with VAs, all these different things. We're going to talk about all VAs. I know that's a pretty hot topic when it comes to wholesale real estate, or real estate in general. So I think it's very informative, to have a call about virtual assistants. I haven't done that one yet, so I think that's going to be very valuable. So be on the lookout for that one. That's going to be on June 7th. So let's get into it. Anybody have any properties that they would like for me to look up on comping, on Zillow and PropStream? Now, when it comes to your comparables and finding comparables, you want to make sure you're using multiple sources to find the comparables, right? So one of the key sources you need to use is the MLS. If you have access to the MLS, that's going to provide you with, a good source to find comps pretty accurately. Now, in order to get the access to the MLS, you either have to have your license, right? Or you need to be and networking with agents in your market or agents in your area, exchanging value, things along those lines to get that access to the MLS, right? So for me, I use the MLS, I use Zillow, and I use PropStream, right? So Zillow is obviously free. It's not always going to be accurate for the most part. You probably might see something on Zillow that you may not see on PropStream, or vice versa. So that's why you have to utilize multiple sources to provide you with enough information to make your offers, or to see what properties are selling for and what conditions they're selling for and what they're selling for. And then PropStream, you can use your batch leads or whatever. I don't use batch leads for comps. I've never done it. So I don't know how accurate it is. You can use your realtor.coms as well. I know people who just use realtor.com. I know people who, I have a buyer who just uses Zillow to determine what the values of properties are, and he'll make offers based off of that. And he buys, 3-4 properties a week. So these sources are good to use as long as you know exactly how to use them. And that's what these calls are for the most part. So for starters, I'm gonna start off with one property that we just closed on yesterday. And then I'm gonna get into a few properties that you guys put into the chat box there. Don't try to flood me with properties, because this is not for me to do the work for you. It's for me to help you so you can have an idea and create a process so you can stick to the process of doing it the right way. Okay. So once we get done with the call, you take these tips or take this process and then you apply it every day. Now, the only way you're going to get better at doing it if you're doing it every day and doing it consistently. I don't know how many properties I comp on a daily basis. I know some of the vets in here can attest to it. Comping is an all day, everyday thing. You get a property, you comp it. You get a property, you comp it. But you don't want to waste your time comping every single property that comes through your system. You only want to comp properties on people who you have a conversation with and they are serious about selling the property. You don't want to waste your time comping every single property, because if you do that and then you try to make an offer or you try to get them on the phone, they don't answer. Now you're chasing them for weeks, months at a time, right? Or you get them on the phone and they don't answer the phone at all, or don't want to sell the property. So you want to make sure you spend the time. Your time is important, is valuable. So you'll make sure you're spending it the right way and putting it in the right area. So I don't comp properties unless a seller, I had a conversation with a seller and I'm ready to make that offer. So enough of that riff-raff that I'm doing. But anybody got any questions about any of that stuff so far? Anything at all? So open space, free space. I don't hear any questions. I'm gonna proceed forward. All right, good deal. So let me go ahead and pull up. I'm gonna pull up Zillow first. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Why it has like 10 screens? Hold on. Zillow, 1 second. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So here's a property that we just closed on. And sometimes, I'm be honest with you, sometimes this is not always the address of that shit. Sometimes it's not always easy to identify what you might be able to sell it for. Sometimes you just have to, take your best estimate, take your best guess, and really is understanding your market too. You really got to know what's a good deal in your market. So anything in Metro Atlanta and in my market, typically anything that's like a 3-bed, 1-bath, if it's under, 170 as far as, a purchase price, or it's around 170 or less, and it doesn't need that much work, or is not too crazy, maybe outdated, it's something that you probably need to that we might need to look into. But the only way you're going to understand that in your particular market is if you are actively in your market doing comps and getting deals done, right? And understanding what houses are selling for, what's a good deal, what's not. So you have to really be active in doing this stuff. So let me shut the hell up and get this thing going. So 4776 Apache Trail. So this property is one we just closed on. It says sold because the seller bought this property in 2020. He bought it with the tenant in place, but we're not going to talk about all those details. I posted that earlier. So what I'm doing, when I'm looking at comps, I want to look at the property, right? I want to see what type of property it is. Is it a ranch style house? Is it a 2-story house? Is it a split level house? Is it a 3-story house? Is it a townhouse? Whatever. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the exterior of the property, kind of get an idea what it is. Okay, I'm also looking at the exterior of the house as far as the materials. Is it brick all the way around? Because sometimes that plays a role depending on your market. Is it, just the wood paneling? Is it the, whatever it is, the plastic vinyl siding or whatever? Another thing I'm looking at, does it have a carport, garage? Does it not have a carport or a garage? So I'm analyzing the exterior of the property to kind of see what comparable properties am I going to be comparing this to, because I don't want to compare a ranch style house with a 2-story house or a split level house. It just doesn't make sense, right? Appraisers aren't really looking at it from that perspective, right? To get the best and most accurate comps, you want to be comparing apples to apples. So this ranch style house is similar to this ranch style house right here. So if a comp comes up that looks just like this, I'm gonna be way more confident using this comp versus using a comp of something that's not similar to that, right? So when you're looking at your comps, I'm looking at the exterior of the house so I can get an idea of what that house looks like, right? Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to make sure I get an idea of the exact bedrooms and bathrooms, okay? So this particular property says it's a 3-bed, 2-bath, right? It's 1,175 square feet. Square footage is important as well, right? You want to make sure the square footage is important. So when it comes to your beds and bathrooms, you want to confirm that, okay? Because sometimes this is wrong, right? I'm seeing 3-bed, 2-bath. I'm thinking in my head it's 2 full bathrooms, but in actuality, it's not. This house is actually a 3-bed, 1.5 bath. You see what I mean? So you have to confirm that with the seller. You have to confirm that by going to an appointment and checking the property. So you make sure that you're getting the right type of house, you're getting the right specs, right? So when it comes to comparing bedrooms and bathrooms, I want to compare. I don't want to compare up, right? I want to compare down. So what I mean by that is, if I'm dealing with we're gonna just say this is a 3-2. If I'm dealing with a 3-2, I don't want to be looking at properties that are 4 beds, 3 baths, or any higher than a 3-2. I don't want to be comparing that. I can do a 4-bed, 3-bath, right? I can do that a little bit. I mean, a 3-bed, 3-bath, maybe a little bit, but ideally, I want to be looking at properties that are the exact same bedroom and bathroom count or lower. So I can look at a 3-1. I can look at like a 2-1. I can look at a 2-2, right? But I don't want to be looking at a 4-2, a 4-3, a 4-4, a 5-3, as far as comparables, right? Because that's going to throw off my numbers completely. Those houses are obviously going to cost more, and they're usually going to be more square footage or be bigger, right? So that means it's not going to be a right comparable. But if that's all you're seeing, right, then you might have to make your best judgment as far as that goes, right? So for me, let's say I'm looking at a comp, and I'm not seeing anything smaller. All I'm seeing is a 4-bed, 3-bath, and it's a 4-bed, 3-bath, and it's, let's say, 1,800 square feet. I'm gonna take my best judgment. I'm gonna go ahead and account, for each. I'm gonna be very conservative. For each bedroom, each bathroom, I'm gonna account for about 15 to 20 grand. So whatever that house sold for, I'm gonna deduct 20 grand for each bedroom and about 15 grand for each bathroom. That's additional. That's more than my subject property. But that's worst case scenario. I'm not doing that off the rip. So that's only if you're not able to find something. That's kind of how I would do it. Does that make sense? Or you guys have any questions about that? Did I confuse anybody? Did I lose anybody?
Makes sense.
Okay, cool. So what am I doing? My bad. So that's how I'm doing that, right? I'm looking at that. Now, when it comes to the square footage, you want to make sure you're not looking at properties that are super big. So I can't be comparing my, let's go say 1,200 square foot house to a house that's 2,000 square feet. Doesn't make sense, right? Appraiser's not looking at that. So if they're not going to value it the same. You know what I mean? So I'm going to be looking at, my rule of thumb is 300 square foot more or 300 square foot less. So I'm assuming this is 1,200 square feet. So my max as far as square footages go is going to be 1,500. So I'm not looking at any properties that have more than 1,500 square feet. And on the low end, I'm not looking at any properties that have less than 900 square feet. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So those are the key things that I'm looking at. Your bedroom, bathroom, and square footage are going to be key. Now, the next very important thing is the year built, right? This house right here in particular was built in 1972. I cannot compare, and I see this sometimes. People send me deals and they sending me comps, and it's comical at times, but I get it. Some people don't know. They're new. You cannot compare a house that was built in 1972 with a house that was built in 2010. You can't do that, right? You want to make sure, my general rule of thumb for me is to stay within that same decade, right? I want to stay within that same decade. So in this particular example, for the most accuracy, I want to stay in that decade, but it's okay to go below, right? Unless you're dealing with historic houses that was built in the 1910 or the 1900s or something crazy like that, which I don't deal with much in my market. You know, I'm not even gonna look at those type of houses. So in this example, you know, I want to stay between 1970 and 1979 to get the most accurate property, the most accurate comp. But sometimes what I do is I'll just put a maximum on my filter to 1979 and leave the minimum blank. So it'll be from 1979 on older. And anything that I see from there is good because I'm looking at it like this. So if a house was built in 1960, my house, if I see a comp that was built in 1960, right, and it's sold for X amount, and I'm looking at my comp, my property, I'm saying, okay, mine was built in 1972. So mine can probably be worth a little bit more because it's 12 years newer, right? So that should be something that's a positive, right? That's how I look at it. Now you have other people that have a rule of thumb of they'll say, you know, 5 years, plus or minus 5 years. So they'll look at properties from, you know, 1977 to 19, what's 5 years minus is 1960 something, 68, 60, 67. From 1967 to 1977, they'll look at property, they'll do it like that. So they'll do plus 5 years or minus 5 years from your subject properties year built. And there's nothing wrong with that. That works as well. I like to stay in the same decade if possible. And it's the same thing that essentially the same thing. So that's the year built. So those are like the most important factors when you're running your comps, right? Is beds, bath, the style of the house, beds, bath, square footage, the year built, right? Those are the keys. Now we're going to get into another criteria. It's not on here, but it's the radius, right? How far from the subject property are those comparables? We're not looking at properties that was sold 5 miles away from our house. We can't do that. I like to stay real tight. I like to stay within the actual neighborhood if I can. So I'm looking here, right? I'm looking here. And I'm looking in this neighborhood. So this is the house. This is a dead end street right here. So this neighborhood right here is completely different from this neighborhood because the way you get over here is on this side. So I'm looking at houses in this general vicinity right here, which is less than a half a mile. My thing is less than half a mile. If I can set my filter for half a mile or less, and I'm looking at properties that are less than a half a mile away from my subject property, I'm gonna have a little bit more confidence in those comparables. Okay. Now you'll have some people that say, you know, crossing main roads, you don't want to cross main roads and things like that. But if it's the same year built, it's the same property, the same square footage, the same similar beds and bath, the crossing main road thing doesn't really matter, to be honest. I've gotten appraisals on houses and they have the comparables of the appraised houses across main roads and in different neighborhoods. As long as you keep that same, the house specs similar, you're good, and you stay within a certain radius, then you're good. There's some instances you may not find anything in a half a mile range, and you might have to push it to a mile. But if you push it to, as I'm pushing it to a mile or more than a half a mile, I'm losing confidence in that actually being what the ARV is. You know what I'm saying? So I try to stay within a half a mile radius or within that same neighborhood if I possibly can. You guys got that?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. Now, and then finally, for me, the last most important thing is sold, right? I'm looking at properties that sold, and specifically, they sold in 3 months, in a 3-month time period or less, obviously in a 3-month time frame. So it's May 24th now. I'm looking at properties that sold from February 24th till now, right? Because the market changes so much. Somebody, somebody sent me a comp one day and it was like, yeah, this house, you know, sold for 275. I looked at the date, that was in September. That's a whole different, that was a whole different area, whole different era, essentially. I can't use that comp. I'm not confident personally. I'm not confident using that comp. So for me, I like to be confident in my numbers. And these are how strict I am with my criteria and my filters to make sure that I'm confident. And to be completely honest, if I don't see anything within that criteria in my filters, I may not even make an offer, or I might just make a what they call, a lot of people say lowball offer. You know what I mean? But most of the time, if I'm not finding anything, I may not make an offer because I'm not confident on what it can sell for. I'm not confident on what I can offer it to somebody for. I'm not confident on anything. But sometimes sometimes it could be the area. I've noticed in some areas in my market, there's a lot of areas that people just don't sell their houses that often there, right? So you may not even see the comps, but if you know it's a good area, you might be able to make a deal work out of there. We had to terminate a deal because we weren't 100% confident on the area because we weren't seeing the similar comps in that area, but it's a good area. So in that area, people are probably retired. They're not selling. They've been living there for a while, or they're not planning on moving or selling at any given point. So you really have to understand your market and know what certain pockets in your market are doing when it comes to that. But back to the sold, right? I want to look at sold properties because value is what somebody paid for something, right? I can't go off of what is listed for on the market right now. If a property is listed on the market for 300,000, I can't assume that it's going to sell for 300,000. I have to wait and see what it actually sold for to be a legitimate comparable. So when you're looking at comps, you want to make sure you look at sold. If you keep it within the 3-month window, then you're gonna be in a good space. Sometimes you can expand that out a little bit, maybe 6 months, but like I said, as I start expanding past 3 months, I'm losing confidence in that comp. But if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. But I wouldn't go more than 6 months. And if you are going back 6 months, right, you may want to take off about 10, 15, 20,000 of that ARV. Does that make sense? You guys follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. So that's pretty much it. Those are the filters, those are the criteria, and we're going to input it on Zillow just so we can see. So let me just go ahead and copy this just to have it. So what we're going to do, all right? So this is the area right here. This is where the house is. So I'm going to go ahead and my first thing is I don't want to look at for sale. I want to look at sold, right? We just talked about that. So there's some property, some activity going on in this area. But we're going to adjust this, right? Number of bedrooms, 3. Bathrooms, I'll just put 3-1, right? If you want, you can put your 2-1 from there and then, kind of work it up. Because like I said before, you want to compare it down, not up, right? So 2-1 plus is good. So we can put that there because it's going to pop up all of the 3-1s on it and whatnot. Home type. Usually I don't do this because I know what a townhouse looks like, but I'm gonna just go ahead and put houses for the example. Then I'm gonna go to more, right? So square footage, like I said, we assume that this was 1,200 square feet. We want to go 300 more, plus or minus 300, right? And since there's only 1,000, we can put 750. That's fine. It's not going to be anything that shows for 750. But you get what I'm saying. 300 more, 300 less, right? I don't care about the lot size. Some places the lot size matter because obviously if you got a house sitting on a 3-acre lot, then it's going to be worth a little bit more. But I don't work in those rural areas where there's a lot of land like that. The lot sizes are that big. So I can't provide you insight on that. So you'll have to do your own due diligence and your own research within your own market as to how those type of houses are selling. But year built, it was 1972, so we're gonna put 1979. And like I said, I don't put any minimum there because anything lower than that is pretty much good. And then I'm gonna go ahead and hit sold in the last 90 days. So we're trying to see what's sold in the last 90 days. Hit apply. Don't look like shit sold in the last 90 days. But we're gonna see. We're gonna zoom out here. See if we can find anything. Nope, nothing there. So these right here, I don't know how far away these are from our property. I can zoom out a little bit and see if any of those pop up. This one right here, 298. That's a different type of house, so I wouldn't count that. And it's a 4.2, right? These ones over here, probably a little bit too far for my liking. So let me go adjust it a little bit more, right? I'm gonna adjust, I'm gonna go 6 months and see what's been going on. So we got one that popped up that sold in 6 months here. It's a 4.3, sold for 172. Let's see what this one looks like. That doesn't look like our house, but it's still ranch style. No, it's like a ranch 2-story style. I don't know what you want to call that, but it's brick all the way around. So it could be comparable, could not. I don't know. And you don't have to always be right. You know, that's one thing I want to kind of some of you guys understand. It's not always going to be 100% right. You know what I mean? That's this one, 209. So here we go. We got a 209 here. Now I got a little confidence. 3.2, 1382 square feet. That one sold in December though. Looks like the same type of house, carport, ranch style. Okay, not too far away. Let's see if they updated this property. From the pictures, obviously I don't see anything, but I look into the description. New roof, gutters, windows, paint, flooring, cabinets, HVAC, water heater, granite countertops. So they renovated this one. So the ARV on this one is probably 209 based off of that. But I'm not done yet. I want to look in PropStream. And then I want to look at my FMLS, right? Because I'm probably get different results. So let's see what we can find here. I'm gonna go to my PropStream, go to comparables, and I'm gonna adjust this right here because this is saying May 2022. So I'm gonna adjust this for what I said, February. So let's look at February 1 till now, see what we got in this area. Already have the square footage already pretty much set up here. The distance is already set up here. Year built, I'll just have to adjust that, 1979. And then single family residential, all that is there, okay? Now what I'm looking at, let me see what I'm seeing here. So all the comparables that I'm seeing here, some of these are in here twice because they sold on market. So I can do either or is fine. I can do public. We do public record. Or MLS. Let's do MLS. Let's see. So whenever you see a 1750 like that, the house did not sell for 1750. That's what they put it up for rent for on PropStream. So this one's saying 298, a 4.2. So that's one that has one more bedroom than ours do. But I want to see what this one looks like. I think this is this one right here. So what happened with this? How's it getting 298? So I'm confused now. Ah, look at that. They renovated it. Oh, this is it's a different one. Okay. 297. Probably should have kept that damn house, my damn self. Flipped it. I don't know. Anyway, so I'm looking at that. I'm not sure about that one. Let me go to this one that sold for 172. See what that one looks like. That's that other one there. So I'm a little, I don't know. I really don't know. Only thing that I have some confidence in is that 209 right now. And then, you know, I would go on the FMLS, but not everybody's in my market. But you use the FMLS because let me see. I'm just going it real quick. And this Judson guy, I don't even know who that is. It's just some realtor dude that we networked with, and he gave us his login. Don't even talk to the guy. He don't even use it. A lot of realtors be inactive, and they have all this value that you can use. Oh, wrong property. Let me see. 4776 Apache. And this is just for the example. I want to find a good comp. I just think we got this one because it was such a good deal, and we just wanted to see what would happen. Let's see. So the distance, so 0.2. 1964. That one sold for 209. It's a 3.2. So that's that one that we looked at earlier. Yep, that's that one there. Now we got more pictures. Now we can see this one was renovated. New cabinets, new appliances, new floors, paint. Yep. So that might be the ARV. So let's keep on looking. See if I can find something else. Here go one right here. 3.2, 1967. 219. When did that one sell? That one closed on January 31st. this year. So let's look at that one, see what that one looks like. Okay. Look like they got a new roof on here. What I noticed, this is a ranch style property, same. It just doesn't have a carport or a garage, right? Paint. They just painted these cabinets, put stone on the countertop. They did the bathroom, so they did some work in here. They did a little bit of update in here. And this one sold for $219. Okay. So now I'm looking at it. I'm gonna take that one. So I got a 209 and I got a 219. And let me see if I can look at this one right here. This 3-2 1967 sold for 207. And that closed in December. See that one. I think it's a different style house. I wouldn't count that one because it's like a 2-story, split level, whatever you want to call it. What else we got? We got this 3-1 right here for built in 1965. This one is actively under contract right now. I don't usually count this one, but I get an idea. So this one doesn't have a carport. They had a carport, but they closed it in. Same deal, ranch style, brick all the way around. Did the floors, did paint. Let's see. Kitchen looks normal, looks regular. So that probably won't even sell for $230 after closing costs, concessions, and all that stuff. Renegotiation that might go down to around that $220 that this one sold for, $219. So I'm gonna take those two. I'm gonna use those as confidence, right? So I'm gonna take those two. I can average them out. So 210 and 220. I'll say probably ARV on this one, maybe like 215, right? We got this property under contract at 135. 135. It was in fair condition. Didn't need a lot of repairs. It just needed cosmetics. Nothing crazy. Probably you put $20,000 into it. You know what I mean? So a buyer would be in, you know, if they bought it at 135, they'll probably be in at 155, can sell it for 215. That's a nice little spread, right? We end up selling this deal for 145. We made 15 off of it. We sold it for 150. We made 15 off of it. So the buyer all in 150. She probably put 20K into it. She all in at 170. That's like a $45,000 difference, depending on what she wants to do. She may want to rent it out, pull out the money from the whatever, but you get the point. So we went off of the ARV on this property being 215 or 220 around there, but we got it at such a good deal. We was like, okay, it's under 150. It's in good shape, doesn't need a lot of work. It's literally move-in ready. Even if you want to rent this property out, you buy it at 115, 150, you put a tenant in there, the tenant will probably pay $1,700 in this area, $1,800 in this area. So right there, you already have, a good deal on your hands. So we identified that it was a good deal. We saw what the value was, what it could sell for, and was able to find a buyer off of doing that. But that's how we found the ARV or the comps for this particular property. I know that was a lot going on into that, but I was rambling on. You guys have any questions about that or any comments, concerns, anything to add, anything?
I got a
No,
couple questions for you. Go ahead.
What you got?
Did somebody else come on?
I think so. I don't know.
oh, go ahead.
Okay, well, one of my I got two questions, but they probably the same. So do you because in Atlanta, the properties can sales can be all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So like, how do you look at it? So example, let's say you got a house, you got about 3 houses that have the same specs, but one selling for, let's say, 375. Then there's one selling for 315, and one maybe like 335, right? It's all over the place. Like, how far up or down do you go when it comes to the sales of the house to use as your ARV?
I try to be as conservative as possible. I would do my numbers based off of the lower side of the spectrum over the higher side of the spectrum.
Okay.
Just to be on the safer side. I want to be conservative. I don't want to be using a high comparable and, for whatever reason, I don't know why that property sold for that amount. You know what I mean? It can be, that particular buyer just really wanted that house. Who knows? But I want to do my numbers based off of being very conservative on the lower side or somewhere in the middle versus doing, the highest comparable that I see. Or you can or you can average it out if you like, you know, you can do it that way. Or, you know, depending on Zillow and what Zillow's doing, what Zillow's talking about, the estimate on this was 220 anyway. So that's pretty much what we were talking about. So I did all of that shit for just to come back to Zillow, and Zillow being pretty much spot on. But that doesn't work for every area or every property, because sometimes it can be off, right? I can go to the house right next door and that estimate could be lower or higher. It just depends. It's weird how that works, but yeah, I would just take the lower side of the spectrum or average it out and get something in the middle.
So I try to stay in the range within like 25,000, but I didn't know if that would throw my ARV off or not though.
Only way you'll know for sure if you try it. If you try to get it out to a buyer and they be like, I'm seeing something else. But if you're doing, you know, if you're looking at it the right way and you can provide the comparables and be like, okay, this is what I'm seeing. I got this comp right here. This is what it's sold. Here's the address. Here's the price. They'll look at it. And it's ultimately up to the buyer's discretion, especially if you're wholesaling it, on what they feel the ARV is or what they can sell it for. You know what I mean? Because I might be more conservative, and then there might be another buyer that's a little bit more aggressive. It just really depends on the buyer when it comes to situations like that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Who else? Who was up? Somebody had a question.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
All right. So basically, like, how do I explain it? So when you're comping properties, right, you're not like, because I know like a lot of people, when they comp properties, they're like, they try to get like as like accurate as possible. And you want to be accurate, don't get me wrong. But like when you're comping, there's going to be moments where you're just going to have to guess sometimes, right? So like when you comp, because I know a lot of investors, like, you're really focused on like the specs of the house, not really so much like where the comps are. I mean, obviously, like the closer the better, but like you don't like to like what's the word, like be so tight on your comps. Like you like to expand out, right? If that makes sense.
I like to be as accurate as possible. So
Yeah.
So where the specs is important to me, and how far it is important as well. So it's a combination of all of that. You know what I mean? You just can't be looking at properties that's, you know, 3-4 miles away from your subject property. You know what I mean? You want to be as close to that property as as close to your subject property as you possibly can. And it's not like you guessing. It's based off basically you looking at the data, as we just did. We looking at what the data showed us, right? And it's not guessing. It's a educated, I guess you can say it's an educated guess, because at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen once. Let's say we were to buy it ourselves and put money into it and flip it and put it on the market for a retail buyer. We don't know exactly what it's going to sell for, because the market could probably change, or who knows? Anything could happen. It could probably sell for more. So it's more so of an educated guess based off of the data that is provided from our searches, if that makes sense.
It makes sense. Thank you.
Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Hey Todd, it's Bella. I had a quick question.
Sure.
So when you do your comps, you say you like to use 3 different sources.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we don't have, I'm working on getting the MLS access, but if I don't have that, I mean, I have Zillow, Redfin, and what do you suggest, like PropStream?
Yeah.
Okay.
Use what you got. If you don't have it, I wouldn't use it as an excuse like, oh, damn, I can't comp anything. You know, not saying that you do that, but just saying, I didn't have MLS access when I first got started, and I didn't have PropStream when I first got started. I was using Zillow, and I was trying to figure it out. Then I was like, all right, well, I'm missing on this. Let me see, let me get PropStream or something, right? So I got PropStream, and I was, using that, and I got a little bit more confident with that. And then as I got the MLS access, I got even more confident, right? So I was like, okay, cool. So the more sources that you have to comp, the better off you'll be, because it's going to give you confidence, because you're going to see, like I said early in the beginning of the call, I don't think you were on at the time, some of these sources may have something that another one doesn't, right? So Zillow might have something that PropStream doesn't have, or vice versa, or the MLS may have something that all all of the other online websites don't have. So, you know, it's good to utilize multiple sources if you can. But if that's all you have to work with for the moment or for the time being, just use it as you can, as best as you can. Use the same type of process with your criterias, and it'll work out the same way most of the time.
Okay, thank you. So my last question is, because you know you've been doing this for so long, so you kind of have your rhythm down pat. When you know I guess what would be an ideal amount of time to spend if you switching between 3 different systems, comping on a property just to see if it's something you want to pursue further. I'm just trying to get a rough estimate.
So I would say it shouldn't take you more than probably like 5 minutes, 7 minutes or so if you're switching between different sources. You don't want to spend too much time because the more time you spend, the more you're gonna overthink it and be like, you know. So I would say probably about 5 to 7 minutes. You know, you might be able to find something on the first source because your first source might have so many different sold properties. It might be a very active area. In that particular with that particular subject property, you might be in a neighborhood that had about 6 or 7 different sold properties in that area. So you may be able to find a comparable off of, you know, let's say PropStream or something like that. You won't even have to look at the other sources. You know what I mean? So it really just depends on the property, the area, the activity in that area, and what, you know, what comps are showing up as you putting in your filters and your criteria.
Okay, thank you.
And then the more you do it, the faster you'll get. You know what I mean? Because now, you know, like you said, I've been doing it for a while. But being that I've been doing it for a while, I've been doing it a lot. You know what I mean? Like even though you haven't done it for a while, may have not done it for a while. If you do it a lot, you know what I mean, then you'll be able to do it faster, and you'll be able to, okay, I'll put my filters in, boom, do this, boom, looking at this, boom, and I'm done.
Okay, I got you. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody
Ty,
else? Yep.
So I know industry standard is the 70% rule, but that doesn't always apply all the time. Do you use that 7% for every deal y'all do?
No, it depends on the area. So if we're looking at a property that's in a highly sought after area, you know, let's say Gwinnett County or something like that, maybe Alpharetta, you know, those areas like that. You know, and I'm talking to Jermaine because he's in Atlanta, so he knows. But if you guys are in a different market, you guys know the areas that are expensive, right? That people really want, not expensive per se, but highly sought after. They have good school systems. They have a whole bunch of, you know, Starbucks, Whole Foods, Publix's, you know, Sprouts, all these different things, right? They have, you know, a lot of investment going on there. So those areas like that, those are the ones I do higher. I do 80%. Like in Lawrenceville on these townhouses that we did, we was doing 80%, not 70. So it really just depends on your market. You know, you adjust accordingly to that, and also you adjust based off of your buyers. So when you have a conversation with your buyers, you need to ask them, okay, what percent of ARV in this area are you buying at minus repairs? Oh, well, over here, we're at 80% minus repairs in this area. So boom, now you know, I know Jermaine is buying at 80% minus repairs in this area. So I know I can, if I want to bring a deal to him, I know he's going to pay me 80%. But Rachel might only pay 70%. So I might not send Rachel that deal. I'll send her that deal later, but I'm gonna send Jermaine the deal first to see if he'll bite on it. So having a conversation with your buyers is going to help you also have an idea as to what percent of the ARV that you want to use when you're making your offer. But as a general rule of thumb, using that 70% is going to be probably the most effective way to get a deal. Like if you use the 70%, you got your ARV somewhat correct, and you have your repairs somewhat correct. If you use that 70%, you get that under contract for 70%, you're going to have a buyer that's going to want to pay for it. It's going to be a deal more times than not. And if you get it under 70%, then it's a home run. Did I answer the question? I'll be ranting too much, man.
Oh, no, you good. Hey, now you asked my question. I was trying to determine is it more so the area or the housing, the price of the house. You know what I'm saying? Because what I've been realizing, anything that's like maybe 125,000 under, that 70% is great. And then anything roughly about 250, 200, I do like 72%. Like I noticed it's just different.
Mm-hmm.
as far as you know how the house is. You know what I'm saying?
That's a part of it too that you bring that up. Like it really just depends, right? On the because if you're doing, you know, a 30% discount off of an ARV that's 300,000, that's a big discount versus doing it off of, you know, $150,000 house. So that can be a part of it as well. And I always say this, right? It doesn't hurt. Obviously, you want to do things correctly, you want to do things ethically, right? But if the property, like I said, the property is in a good area, and typically, like I said, Jermaine, like those areas are going to be probably more higher sought after areas, anyways, right? Because you're not going to put an expensive ass house in a bad area. You're just not going to do it. You're not going to see that many $300,000 houses on a block with boarded up houses in Macon. You're just not going to see it. So, the purchase price, the ARV, the how high the ARV does play a role in that. But I always say, you know, if you're doing things ethically, you can use 80% on the $300,000 house or more. You know what I'm saying? Just to see, you know, if you get a bite on it. Sometimes, you know, sometimes you need to see you get a bite, but you also have to be prepared if you do get that property on a contract, right? That you might have to renegotiate that or terminate that. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? Because not every deal you're going to close that you get on the contract. And that's what I like to hammer into new people. I've been doing this for 3 years now, and not every deal we close. It's just not what it is. Sometimes we take a shot to see what we can do to see if it can work. Not saying that we're doing it just to be doing it. No, we did our research, we did our due diligence, but we're a little bit closer than, you know, we're trying to make their number work, essentially. You know what I mean? And that's not on every single case. It's a case by case basis. But ultimately, there's some chances you might have to take a shot on some things just to see, you know, if you feel good about it, then you might work out. Because there's some that worked out great, and then there's some that didn't work out. But let's just imagine the ones that did work out, we didn't do it, then we just missed out on, you know, $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 because we was like, we too conservative. We don't know. Sometimes it's about taking the risk and dealing with the back end, you know, when the back end comes. I don't know. I just went on a rant again. Why I'm ranting.
No, it makes sense. Keep talking.
And I'm out of water. Drinking air. Nah, but yeah, I mean, that's just what it is sometimes. Like, you're not going to always be accurate. You're not going to be 100% accurate. You don't have to always overthink it. You just have to be ready for the back end. So, you know, like I always tell people, you know, if you get a property under contract too high, or you can't find a buyer within a certain time period, you have to be ready to have that tough conversation with that seller. Hey, you know, numbers are a little bit off on this one. You know, we do want to purchase the house, but we have to, I know we agreed to, you know, 210,000, but unfortunately, you know, we're gonna have to be at 190. Would that be something you would consider? You got to have that tough conversation. Sometimes they'll say yes, you know, we can do that. Sometimes they'll say no, and that's okay if they say no. You know what I mean? But you got to be willing to do that, because not every deal you get or every contract you get is gonna close. That's just nobody's out here batting 1,000. That's just the truth of the fact. Because deals fall apart whether it's your fault or not. You know, it could be the title company's fault that the deal fall apart. It could be your buyer bullshitted. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to take the brunt of that because you're the direct contact with the seller. You know what I mean? So you got to be willing to have those tough conversations. And sometimes, you know, when it comes to, you know, looking at comps and making offers, sometimes we have the saying in the office, me and Mike, it's worth a shot. You know what I mean? If everything looks good, the property ARV is 300,000, the seller is asking, you know, 250, and the property doesn't need that much work. I mean, depending on who our buyer is, you know, we might send that over to a hedge fund. We might lock that up at 250 and send it to the hedge fund for 260 and see if they bite. If they don't, then we'll go in there, try to renegotiate down to 220 and probably get a local buyer in there and see if they'll bite on it for 230 or something like that. You know, it's a lot.
Yeah, 100%. I just had to ask because, man, in the beginning, boy, I was getting beat out a lot of deals. I'm like, how the hell are they offering this much and still making 20,000 off the deal? So I'm like, man, these numbers don't always work like this.
Right. And it's a combination of that. It's the buyers, right? They may have buyers that you don't have. You know what I mean? Like, Dude, my first contract, I'll tell this little story real quick. My first contract, well, it wasn't even my first contract. My first time when I first got into wholesaling, I went and looked at this house. It was in Snellville. The guy, he wanted $120,000 for that house. I didn't know shit about real estate at the time. I'm just fresh. I'm just learning. I didn't know nothing. He wanted $120,000 for that house. I looked up the comps. The comps were probably around, I would say probably like 220 or something like that, or around 200, something like that. I didn't know what the hell a deal was when it hit me in my face, right? So I'm talking to the guy. I could have locked this thing up. I went to look at the house and everything. Good guy. He was going to sell it. He was moving, all of this, everything lined up. Price lined up as well, but I didn't know that. Man, when I kid you not, I let that shit pass about a week. And I told him, I said, yeah, we can make that work. Because I was trying to get him lower than 120. I was trying to get him at like 100 or 110 or some shit like that. And he was like, nah, 120 is my number, blah, 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 blah. Not knowing that 120 was a deal. So I called a dude, week later. He said, I'm already under contract. I said, God damn, somebody got to him. So I followed up with him. And then, some months passed. I done closed a couple deals but at this point. I said, let me go see let me see about this property. It just popped up in my head again. I looked at it. Somebody wholesaled that deal for $150,000. So they got it under contract for 120 and wholesaled it for 155. They made 35 G's off of that deal that I missed out because I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. And I didn't take the risk. I wasn't confident. I bullshitted. I was timid. It seemed like it was a deal because the purchase price was so low. The asking price was so low, but I didn't know that. Now, anything that comes across my desk at 120, I'm locking it up off rip. I don't care what it is. I'm locking it up, especially in the area like that. So, the point behind that is don't be afraid to take the shot at a potential deal that you may feel is a deal. I would say this. If you have about $60,000 or $70,000 in between what the seller is asking and what the ARV is, you might be able to get that deal off and make some money off of it. In that example, that was like $100,000 off. I should have known that off the top that was a good deal, but I didn't know anything. And I missed out on 35K. So that was the point of that. Just don't be afraid to, if your numbers look somewhat good, you feel somewhat good about it, just take the shot, see what happens. Lock it up, go from there. Once you lock the property up, then you can kind of figure out what you do from there. You know what I mean? And then you have your due diligence to protect you, right? You put 15 days, business days due diligence. That gives you 3 weeks to find a buyer. That gives you, 3 weeks to market it out, see what the hell's going on. If you don't find a buyer, then you need to go ahead and renegotiate that contract. Or just tell a seller, hey, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to purchase the property. My apologies. Blame it on your manager. We use some funds for another property. We'll send you a termination. If anything changes, I'll reach back out, and you move along. I had to cancel the deal this morning because I made an offer. The dude was ready to sell it, but the numbers are just too tight. I told the dude straight up. I said, I spoke to my manager. We, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to proceed forward. We're looking at a different property at this time. And he was like, well, what happened? What about that contract that's in my inbox? I said, well, yeah, our contracts, they expire after 48 hours. So I sent that to you last week. He was like, so you're not interested anymore? I said, unfortunately, yeah, we're looking at different properties now. And I wasn't even under contract with that guy. Go ahead.
So first of all, thank you for this group. I went to see a house. I've never wholesaled before, so I'm brand new. Mm-hmm. I went to see a house on a house that I'm renovating right now. And it's right like up the street. And it needs quite a bit of work, but it's on the MLS for like $89,000. I was wondering, can I wholesale that house? Can I put that under contract, although it's from a realtor?
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Now, the way you would do that, obviously, you need to know if it's a deal or not. Do you feel like do you know if somebody will buy that at that price?
I think it's going to take some work. I think it's going to take about at least 40,000 to get it back up, because it has some mold smells and some structure issues.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to ask him to go down to like 60.
Mm-hmm.
And just to see, but I didn't want to make a move because I don't want to get nervous and then sign the contract. I'm just real nervous at this point.
Right. So do you have a buyer that'll be willing to pay more than 60 if you were to get it under contract for 60?
It's not readily available.
So I would suggest you finding a buyer first. Whenever you're dealing with anything on market with a realtor, I would suggest you find a buyer first. That way it's gonna work out. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know that the buyer's serious, he's legit, she's legit, and they're gonna perform on that deal, because at the end of the day, that's when you're dealing with the real estate agent, you're dealing with different contracts, all types of stuff. Me personally, I haven't closed the deal on market, but people do it. There's actually a video in the drive with one of the guys in the group. He closed a good bit of on market deals, and he pretty much broke down how he does it as far as paperwork, how the process is, all that stuff.
Okay.
I'll drop a link real quick for you. But
thank you.
But yeah, the only thing I would recommend, if you're doing it on market, to make sure you have the buyer in hand first. That way, when you make that offer, because realtors, I'm pretty sure some of you guys know this, they're gonna want to see proof of funds, they're gonna want to do this, they're gonna want to do that, they're gonna sign this, sign that. And you don't want to go through all that long process, and you don't have a buyer that's 100% going to perform in that deal. So unless you have the buyer in hand, ready to go, knowing that they'll pay, 70,000 for it, you know what I mean? Then you go from there. That's what I would do personally. But I'll send you the call. It's in the Google Drive. It's probably been a couple months now since we did it, but I'll send you the call for that. I'll send you the link for that, and then just take a look at that video, and you'll get a lot of information on how to handle those on market wholesale deals.
Okay, thank you.
But in those situations, you probably won't be doing any assignments. In that case, you'll be doing more so of double closing.
Now it's funny that you mentioned that. I signed up to some program and they offer 600,000 in transactional funding. So with that assignment, you're saying that if I did lock it down and I showed them the proof of fund letter that you have in the Google Drive, and they decide yes, then I would use that. Then I would close first and then close again.
That's what a double close. That would be with a double close. And so with the double close, you don't need transactional funding for that most times. Because what you can do, well, it depends on your attorney. Let me take that back. I haven't used transactional funding in a while. We do double closes all the time. So you can use what they call pass-through funding, right? So essentially, your end buyer is going to have the money wired to the attorney in escrow, and then they're going to use that same funds to purchase the property on your behalf. Essentially, they're just going to use the same funds and move it to purchase it. You know what I mean? So you just have to request your attorney or the title company, hey, can we do pass-through funding on this transaction? Now, if they don't allow it or they don't do it, then you have to get that transaction pass-through funding. Then you have to do that transactional funding from whatever lender that they offer you. What percent are they offering that?
They said the first one will be free, and the next one, if I want to do another one, they'll apply 2%.
2%. 2% is a little high. I would do 1%. Find somebody to give you 1%. 2% is a little high.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But but whenever you're doing double closes, you don't really need it's pass-through funding or it's transactional funding. I will always go with the pass-through funding option first, because there's not a fee associated with that. You just ask the attorney to use the funds to pass through to purchase the first property, and then they'll go through that way. And then but if you don't have that, then transactional funding will be a play, and then they'll just wire the money and they'll handle all that stuff.
Do you have something in the drive with the pass-through funding explanation?
I will upload one. I actually did that shit the other day. I did a recording of that. I'll upload it for you though.
Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yep. Let's see. Anybody else got any questions about anything? I might have to hold off on those other properties. Sorry, you guys. Or I could do it real quick. I'll do it real quick. Hold on. Oh, here it is right here. Give me 1 second. All right. Let me see if I can do these two real quick for y'all. I got all these windows open, man. All right, let me share my screen. I'm gonna do this one here, Marlborough Street, Springfield, Mass. So here we go. I'm gonna do another one real quick. I'm gonna zoom through it. Looking at this 6-bed, 2-bath. This is a duplex or something, multifamily. Ah, shit, one of those. We're gonna see if we can do this. Typically with multifamily, your buyers are gonna do it based off of like the income that the house can generate, but we'll see let's see what comes up here. 1923 is old property. So I see what that looks like. Let's see here. So it's in this general area right here. Let's see. So see, I'm walking through this. Let me see. I'm gonna change some of these filters because a lot of these filters aren't the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna just reset all of these. We're gonna do sold. Okay. Then we got the bedrooms, bathrooms. This one was like a 6.2. So I'm gonna do a 4.2 plus. Gonna apply that. I'm gonna keep that there. Square footage. Let's see what the square footage on this property is. 2444. So we're gonna go 2750, and then we're gonna go probably around 2000 at a minimum. Year built. This was built 1923. It's an old house. A lot of those houses up north are old like that. So we're gonna put 19. Like I said, I like to be in the same decade if I possibly can. And then the last thing we're gonna do is when it's sold. So we're gonna do 90 days, which is 3 months. See what we can see. Here go one right here, similar. 6.2 sold. When that sold? That sold a couple days ago. And it's in that same area. It's another one that sold in the same area. 305. Kind of pictures of those. Let's see if they got a description to see if they did anything to it. Great investment for first-time home buyer. So it sounds like they didn't do anything to it. So let me see. Let me go ahead and mark that 305 down really quick. Just for my notes, I'm gonna just put as is or something because it's not renovated. So let me look at another one. And that's the same style of house, 6.2, same style of house. I saw another one that I really like. This one right here. So this one is a little bit nicer, way nicer, 277, 500. Like they renovated this one. Yep, updated, recently renovated. And sometimes I like to see what they bought it for if they flipped it. So damn, they bought this one for 265. No, I don't know. Probably it's a different buyer. Anyway, I went into a little rabbit hole there. So 277. This one is renovated, so I'm getting confused, but we're gonna keep on looking. Put rehab. Let's see what else we can find here. This one kind of similar house. This one kind of similar house. So this one sold for 324. And then that one sold for 300. So this has an extra bedroom, one more bedroom than the subject property we were looking at. This one's not really renovated, but it's in good shape. So I would probably take like 300. I'll probably take like 30K, like 20K off of that one for that extra bedroom that it has. I'm gonna say 300. Let's see. And that's fair condition. So let me look at this one. $300. So I'm seeing something that's real consistent. Like I'm seeing anything from, you know, the high to like probably around the 300,000 range. So if I was going to set an ARV on this property, I'll probably say around 300,000. So I don't know how they're analyzing, how they're underwriting it, how the buyers are underwriting it. But all of these, if they're all multifamily, I don't know. They probably be looking at it as, if they're investors, they're probably looking at it from a cash flow perspective. And how much they can, you know, make off the property, how much the property is generating. But if I'm just looking at it based off of what I just saw, I'm seeing a lot of consistency in like the 300 area for those type of properties, similar style property, around the same amount of beds and bath. I'll probably go a little bit lower because ours is a 6.2. So I would probably be on the lines of this right here, that 277. That's probably what I would say ours can sell for, to be on the conservative side. So I would probably say like 277 or 275 would be what the property that we're looking at is worth. Is that what you got, Takira?
Yeah, that's what I got. I have the 270.
270? Yeah, I would do it off of that.
Okay.
All right, and let me see. We got one more. Anybody got any questions about that? You have any questions about that at all?
No, I don't have any questions.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if you were gonna do the same process that you did for a single family for multifamily. And then you had
Typically,
made the comment in the beginning and I was like, oh, okay.
yeah, typically I wouldn't, but in that case, it was a lot of activity going on over there, so it was a little bit easier. But that area is just like that multifamily. It just depends on the buyer. You know, it depends on who your buyer is going to be. But based off of that, I mean, we saw a lot of consistency around, you know, that 300 for the ones that have one more bedroom and then one more bathroom than yours. So that 270 is good. You know what the hell you're doing.
Yeah. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And let me do this one right here, Connecticut. You guys in these up north markets, man. Let's see. 587 Arch Street, New Britain, Connecticut. Shit, not showing up. Let's see. All right, what's the deal on this one? This one sold 2 months ago. What's the deal? What's the story? Alvin, you there? I don't have a mic. Sorry. Okay. All right, we'll run the comps on this one real quick. This one sold 2 months ago. Me personally, I don't want to be looking at those properties like that. I don't know, but sometimes it could be deals on that. Like we buy houses and we sell them on the market too, like that. So it could be a deal. I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's see what the comps are though. I mean, I like this estimate, 149, and it sold for 95. I mean, whoever bought it for 95 might have had a good deal. But let's see. Let's see what's going on here. So this one's a 3-2. So I'm like my same process. I'm looking at to see the style of the house, what it looks like. Okay. 3 bed, 2 bath, 1,300 square feet. Let's say that. Year built 1914. All right. So let me go ahead and put it in here. I could also just do this right here. But I want to know where is that exactly. Sometimes the Zillow should be acting up, so. Oh my God. Bear with me as I get this right. So we're in this general area somewhere. What's the name of the street? Arch Street. So here it is right here, Arch Street. It's on there. So, okay, so we're gonna look at, like we said, sold, right? Look at sold. I don't know why all this is here. Let's go ahead and reset all of this stuff. We're gonna reset those filters. So we're gonna look at sold, beds and bath. This one was a 3-2, if I'm not mistaken, right? So we're gonna look at properties that we can do 2-1 or better. The home type, keep that as it is. Now we're gonna look at square footage, right? So we got, it says 1,300 square feet. That's what we're gonna say, 1,300. So we're gonna do minimum 1,000, right? Plus or minus 300. And then I'll just go up to 1,750 on that one. And then year built, what was it, 1912, if I'm not mistaken? 1914. So 1914, 1919, old ass house. Sold in the last, we're always gonna do, I always like to start with that 90 days first, that 3-month period first to see what's going on. Let me zoom out a little bit. So like this is the general area that I'm looking at right in here. So this one sold for 300. So that's like 2 blocks over. This one sold for 288. There's another one down here that sold for 300 as well. So these houses probably somewhat similar. Let me look at this one right here. This one sold on my birthday for 300. Okay. Same type of house, same specs, right? Let me look at the details on here, see if they renovated it, since there's no pictures there. First floor bonus room, original refinished floors, new flooring throughout, quartz counters, tile backsplash, brand new appliances. So they renovated roof, new roof, painted. So I'm looking at, I'm gonna go ahead and write that 300,000 down. Okay, so 300K, that's gonna be 1. I have some confidence in that because it's not too far away. And it's a similar type house, right? Same specs for the most part. Now let me look at this 300,000 one right here. This one is a 4-2, sold for 300,000. It's a little bit more square footage, so let's look at this one. And this one probably wasn't even renovated. Hold on, might have been. Yep, newly renovated. Quartz countertops, stainless steel appliances, new roof, new paint. Boom, boom, boom. All right, and this one sold for 300,000. It has 1 more bedroom. All right, so let me look at another one. That's ours right here. Let me look at this guy right here for 288. Let's check this one out. Let's look at this guy. 288. This one don't look renovated, but let's look at the description and see. Single family, 6 rooms, 3.5. No, it's not renovated. They would have set it off the rip. So this one sold for a little bit less than those rehab houses. So I would say the ARV on this one, once it's fixed up, is probably around 300,000 because I'm seeing a lot of consistency in the 300,000 in that particular area. So I would be a little bit more confident saying, okay, I would take a shot at saying that it can sell for 300,000 is what I'm saying. Subject property has no driveway. That could probably play a role in it. It really depends on that end buyer or who's buying it. I see why it doesn't have a driveway because it's on a main road. So I would say, just to be conservative, say your ARV is going to be like the same as that other one, probably around 280, 275, something around there. Just be conservative. But I'm seeing, a lot of consistency in the 300 range. So if yours is a little off because it doesn't have something that the other ones have, like a driveway, if it's on like a main road, you can bump off, I would bump off probably about 20K for those things. Does that make sense, Alvin? Oh, my bad. I'm always checking back and forth. Okay. Had a lot of issues with that property, long storage started. Correct, but makes sense. Okay. Good deal. Good deal. You guys have any other questions about anything? About that process there? About anything with comps? Anything else? Anything not dealing with comps?
Where am
I
I
have a quick.
finding my
Go
buyer?
ahead.
Sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So I had a question about like, you know, you were kind of mentioning throughout the compensation about it depends on like what your buyer, you know, what you think. So we should be having conversations on like, hey, what would you purchase this property for, et cetera, right? That way we know if we need to move our numbers, right?
You mean once you have it, or before you, like on the front end, on the back end? What part of it?
Shoot, honestly, either.
So
Like
when you,
either front or back end.
yeah, so the way we do it with our buyers, right? So we have, when we get new buyers, we have a conversation with them, you know, just a brief conversation. Doesn't have to be interview style. It's just pretty simple. Hey, what's your criteria? What areas are you buying in? What type of properties? You know, are you, you know, what is your exit strategy? Because if you have a buyer, their exit strategy is fix and flip, then you know that, you know, you can't give them a property that costs too much, that's too high. Now, if you have a buyer that their primary exit strategy is buy and hold, you can probably be a little bit higher as far as, you know, uh, what you can sell it to them for, depending on the condition of the house and all these different things. So when we're talking to our buyers on the front end, we're having that little brief conversation. We also want to know, you know, what their max purchase price is, right? We don't want to be sending them properties that, you know, we're asking 320,000 on if they don't have the capacity to buy it for that much. So that's the front end. And then on the back end, meaning, you know, once you get it on a contract and whatnot, and you sending it out, then you're offering them, okay, you get it on a contract for 250, you pushing out to them for 270, you know, and seeing, you know, if they were, you say, hey, I'm asking 270, or you can submit your offer. What would you pay for it, essentially? So to answer your question, yes. If that makes sense.
She asked some of the question that I was going to ask, but I was just wondering, where exactly are we getting the buyers from? Marketplace?
It depends. You can get it from all over. So you can go to marketplace, right? So you get a property on a contract, right? You go ahead and get the photos. The key is you want to make sure you have photos before you send it out to buyers. Don't be sending properties out to buyers and there's no pictures. You sending them 3 pictures from Zillow. They can easily do that, right? So take the time, because buyers are going to take you serious if you send them a Google Drive with photos and some videos of the actual property. So whether you're going out there physically yourself to do it, or whether you're hiring somebody boots on the ground, paying them $50 to go take pictures of the property for you, make sure you get the pictures of the videos of the property and send it out to the buyers, because they're going to be a little bit more responsive. So you can, once you get those photos, you can put it on Facebook Marketplace, right? Post it up on there. I will post it up also in those Facebook investor groups, right? So join as many real estate investor groups in your market as possible. Even some generalized ones that are pretty popular across Facebook, like Wholesale and Houses Full Time, right? That one has like 100,000 members, right? And some of those people, they're people that buy deals all over the place. So you can put it on there. There's another website, Bigger Pockets, right? That's one of the big investment forums. You can put deals on there. You can use software like PropStream, right? You can see who purchased the property, if they paid cash, when did they buy it. You can find out who bought it. You can reach out to them. You can skip trace their LLC, find them, call them, see if they have any interest in that particular property. Getting buyers there. Reach out to real estate agents. Hey, I have an investment property. I was seeing if you have any investors, any cash buyers that might be interested in an investment property in this area. I would love to, you know, work with you on this and give you a fee or whatever the case, whatever you guys work out as far as that goes. Other wholesalers. Hey, I see you do a lot of work in this market. Do you have any buyers that might be interested in this property? We can JV on it 50-50. You know what I mean? Me personally, I'm not going to JV with a wholesaler, you know, even when I didn't do any deals, I didn't have any buyers. I wasn't JVing with wholesalers that wasn't doing deals. You know what I mean? That wasn't closing deals. I need to see that you're actually closing deals to know that you do have a list of buyers. So JV with active wholesalers that are actually closing deals in your market. And you know, there's another software that I have called Investor Lift. So if you guys have any deals, that's another thing. If you guys have any deals under contract, I can put it on Investor Lift for you, which is essentially like a buyer's market. A lot of buyers are on there. I can put it on there for you as long as you give me the pictures and the description and everything else. And I could post it up for you, and then I'll just send you the information of whatever buyers are requesting to view that property or to get more information about that property. So there's different things, different ways you can find buyers.
Okay. Would it make more sense to gather the criteria first of what the buyers are looking for before I go out and put something under the contract?
I would do both. You have to find a balance between both. You may have one day or one block of your day where you're reaching out to buyers for an hour or two and having a relationship, trying to network with buyers. Hey, are you buying this? What's your criteria? And then you have another part of the day or another part of your week where you're going out there and you're marketing, trying to find deals for that particular buyer. Now, the thing is, you know, you have to really qualify those buyers to see how many deals they're buying, because here's what can happen, right? You can be out here hunting for this particular buyer, right? And they only buy one deal every 6 months because that's all they do. You know what I'm saying? Now you're hunting for this particular criteria for this said buyer, and now you probably you suck holding the bag because now you just went and hustled for this one guy or woman who's, you know, don't buy that much. You know what I mean? That happened to us, right? We have not happened to us per se that's in that same aspect, but we have a buyer that doesn't buy as much. So we go hunting for this particular person. We send it out to him. He says, well, I'm working on 2 projects right now. I can't buy anymore right now. So now we stuck holding the bag. Now we got to hustle and try to find another buyer. So have a healthy balance of both. That way you're marketing for deals of your own that you can doing all the numbers everything that you have. You're doing your formulas, you're doing your ARV, you're finding your comps, you're making your offer. If you use that formula, like I was speaking to earlier, Jermaine, about that 70% rule or whatever the case may be, majority of buyers will buy that deal. You know what I mean? As long as you do all those things right. But have a healthy balance of both, having a relationship with buyers, finding out their criteria, and then also, you know, just marketing for your own deals as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So when you're comping, and when you're trying to find a value, what radius you like to start off at?
I start at half a mile, 0.5.
0.5? Okay,
Yep.
thank you. That's all I need to know.
I start off there and I max out there. Anything below that, I'm good. If it's 0.2, a quarter of a mile,
Actually, hold on.
0.25, that's even better.
That leads me to another question. Have you ever been to a situation where you were trying to find the value of the property and didn't have any comps? If so, like how would you like manage that?
I would go to the Zillow estimate. I would probably not make an offer, right? Or I would go to the Zillow estimate and offer them like 60% of that. So if this estimate is 100,000, I might offer them 60,000.
Okay, thank you.
Or 40,000 or 50,000 or some shit like that. But I wouldn't offer anything like before I offer though, you know, there's one thing too. I like to know where the seller is at as far as price. You know what I'm saying? I try to pull that number out of the seller first. That way I have an idea if it's worth my time or not, because that will help me answer that question. So if I can't find a comp and this seller is asking, you know, if the estimate is 200,000, the seller is asking 250 and I can't find the comp, then I might not even waste my time making an offer to that seller because they're already 50 grand over this estimate. You know what I mean? So it's like, is it worth my time at that point? You know what I mean? So, but if they're at 200,000 and I offer them 160, that might be something worth, and they accept it. That might be worth my time. You see what I'm saying? So you have to have a kind of, the more you do it, you'll find like what makes sense and what doesn't with these sellers. Cause some of these sellers, they talk crazy. So if I'm not finding any comps, it's solely up to depending on what that seller's price is. So before I get off the phone with the seller, you know, if I'm going to make an offer, I need to have an idea of where that seller is standing in terms of price. So I'm gonna ask them a couple different ways to get that number out of them. So I'll ask them, I'll say, hey Andrew, you know, I got all the information that I need right now. Now based off of what you were telling me, about the property, what do you feel is a fair price for the property, as it sits today? Well, I don't know. Well, make me an offer. Okay. Well, here's the thing, Andrew. I would love to make you an offer, but just so we're not wasting each other's time, especially yours. I got to take this back to my manager or my underwriter, and if I don't have anything to base it off of, he's gonna give you kind of a low offer and set that offer. Now, is there a price, like kind of a ballpark range that I can give to him to have a baseline as to where you're trying to be at and see if it makes sense for you? And then most times when I say that, I get a number, I get a price. And then if you tell me, oh yeah, I need to be at 250, then I'll be like, okay, gotcha. All right, 250. Well, let me see what we can do. I'll give you a call back and see if we can make that work, or I'll give you an idea of where we're at. That way, you have an idea, an option on the table. And then now I'll get off the phone. I'm running my comps. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the Zestimate because I already got it pulled up while I'm talking to the guy. The Zestimate's at 200K. He's at 250. I already know his price is too damn high. Now I'm looking at comps and I can't find shit. Now I know if I offer him 170, the chances of him taking that is slim to none. Now, if you want to just practice giving your offers out there and getting that practice in, by all means, go for it. Make that offer. You know what I mean? Because you never know what these people are going to accept. I had a guy today. I talked to him yesterday. He was asking 130 on the house. I offered him 96. The dude that didn't want to give me his email yesterday, he gave me his email today. I sent him the offer. Now, will he sign it? That's a whole nother question, a whole nother ball game. I don't know. But the name of the game is to make the offer. So out of all of this, from all of this whole Zoom call today, for everybody, don't be afraid to make offers. Do not be afraid to make offers. Just like if you were shopping on, Facebook Marketplace or whatever the case may be, and somebody's selling some shit that you want, you're not going to give them their asking price. You're going to make an offer and see if they take it and then negotiate. So, if you're dealing with a seller that's serious about selling the property, make the offer. Bottom line, make the offer, because you never know what they'll be willing to accept. You might be the only person to make them an offer, but you don't know that. They're not going to tell you that. And they probably went with you because you made the offer. I've had people tell me, yeah, I talked to a couple people, but they never got back to me with an offer. Right? So the main point is when we talking to these sellers, make sure you make the offer, as long as they're serious about selling that property. And you'll know if somebody's serious about selling that property, by having a conversation with them. If you talk to enough people, they talk about, yeah, I'll sell it if the price is right. They're probably not that damn serious. If they talk about if the price is right, okay, well, what do you feel is a fair price for the property? I'm looking at it right now. I'm addressing that shit today, right now, at that moment. Well, if the price is right, I don't care anything about the condition. If you talking about the price is right, let's talk about price right now. All right, well, my price, I need to be at, 300,000. I'm looking at the Zestimate. Zestimate is 220. Yeah, man, looks like, we're probably not going to be a good fit for this one. Because I'm looking at it right now, I'll even tell them the Zestimate. I'm look, people buying houses right here at, 220. You're asking for 300,000. This house was sold on your same street. But you don't have to get into that detail with them and that back and forth. It doesn't even make sense, because at the end of the day, most of the time when I'm having those back and forths with people, it's a waste of time. I never get those under contract because they're not serious anyways. But that's ultimately how I handle it. Somebody hits you with the sarcasm, you hear it. Yeah, if the price is right, I'll sell it. Yeah, everything's for sale. Those type of people. Well, what's your price? How much you feel the property is worth? And then they say it with their chest, 300,000. And you looking at the damn Zestimate and it's 210. Now that's not worth your time. Those people I probably wouldn't make an offer on. But somebody who you have legitimate conversation, they're serious, you walk them through the process, you talk about a condition, they have a legitimate reason to move, they may be a little bit high on their price. Those are the people that I make offers to. I know that was a little drawn out, but got off a tangent. I talked about a whole bunch of stuff beside. Did that answer your question, Andrew?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Anybody else got anything? All right, good deal. So, before we get off, a couple updates. So, I will save this recording to the Google Drive. It'll be uploaded tomorrow sometime. I'll post it in the Discord once it's uploaded, have the link and everything. That if you missed the beginning of the call, we're gonna have a challenge coming up for June, right? So it's gonna be like a 30-day type challenge thing, and it's pretty much task-based. And it's essentially you have to. I'll talk more about it on our next call. Probably next week. Yeah, I'll talk more about it next week. I'll have it all prepared out next week, and we'll talk about it then. Next Zoom call will be next week about that, and then the monthly call will be in June on June 7th. Make sure you check the events tab. And let me share the Discord real quick, so you guys can have an idea where to find things, because I know some people don't know where to find stuff. So there's a tab right here, says events. On your phone is gonna look a little different, but it's gonna be the same type of thing. You just press the three little lines on your phone, you hit events, and I'm gonna add all the events, all those Zoom calls that we have. I'm gonna add it to here, and it's gonna have the Zoom links there as well. You just hit the interested button right here. That way you'll get notified. I think it notifies you when it's going to happen or when it's going down or whatever. But nevertheless, this is where all the events go on. So make sure you check that occasionally on a weekly basis if possible. And then obviously, in this section right here, hot topics, you can go browse through this area right here. And this area is going to have some questions and some answers to common questions that people have. How do you find cash buyers? What do you use to skip trace LLCs? What companies do you recommend to skip tracing? Virtual assistants, CRM. So a lot of questions that some people have are going to be there already. What do you use for cold calling? What do you use for SMS? Right. And as more common questions come about, I'll add it and upload it to the hot topic section there. And then also in this section down here, you have resources, right? The resources is where, if you have some resources that you like to share, you can upload it here. Recorded calls. If you want to listen to some recorded calls that I've had with actual homeowners and sellers, etc., you can click on here. You click this, it takes you directly to the drive with the recorded calls, right? These are all recorded calls that I upload. I upload as often as I can. This is the folder right here of calls that I've had with actual deals that we've closed. So it's going to be every call that I've had with that particular seller from the beginning to the end. It's going to be a little out of order here, but all the calls are there so you can see the flow of how we got that done. Then you have the monthly Zoom calls, right? So if you want to look back at some of the Zoom calls, just click that monthly Zoom call channel right here. Click that link. It's going to take you directly to the drive. You have the monthly calls here, and you have the comp sessions here. So all of the comp sessions will go in this folder here. Boom, boom, boom. And then you go back, and then you have all the monthly calls here, right? So I upload all the calls here. And then there's some more calls in this file right here. I didn't save the actual video to my computer. So there's links, right? So you got some role play here, system and processes, talking about some repair stuff here as well. So you click those links and you get to look at those calls as well. Spreadsheets, contracts, the whole nine. And all some other stuff. Accountability, y'all know what that is about, and all the other stuff. So I just wanted to go through that real quick just to give you guys a little rundown of how to actually use the Discord and get access to the resources. But outside of that, I'm gonna wrap this thing up. If you guys have any questions, y'all let me know. I stay active in the group. So as long as you guys stay active, I'm gonna stay active. That's just how it works. You know what I'm saying? So anything that I can help out with, I'm always available. Just let me know. And then you guys have a great rest of the week. It's hump day. It's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Thursday's a good day to get on the phones and call people. So, if any days you want to put out the maximum effort, Thursdays is the day to do it. You know what I mean? So y'all bust your ass, y'all get some contracts, y'all get some deals. That's what it's all about. And if there's anything that I can do to help, you got access to me, just let me know. But other than that, y'all have a good night, and I will see you guys on next week.
Appreciate it, my guy.
Yep. Good night.